Welcome everybody. You're all very welcome to our session this morning. My name is Geraldine O'Reilly and I'm delighted to invite you and to have you all here with us this morning for the inaugural and the kickoff to the Making of a Law Firm series. So starting a law firm is tough, and building your firm can be even tougher, especially in times when you can't actually physically meet up with anybody. You can't meet your clients necessarily. You can't network and share support. So we've decided to try and support the community via an event series that we'll run throughout 2021, following 4 fearless law firm leaders who are on the road to building new successful law firms in the UK. So today we'll get to know a little bit more about our leaders, their firms, and why they chose to set up in 2020. Then throughout the year, on a monthly basis, we'll invite our 4 leaders back to rejoin me and share how they are getting on with growing and scaling their business. Along the way, we'll also invite some subject matter experts as well to join and to run some sessions that are deeper diving into certain areas. This series will touch on many areas of making a law firm, from marketing and branding to cash flow and insurance, even touching on technology and recruiting and client service. There's a lot to cover. And today and throughout the year, it would be really great if you could share your support for the series and for our leaders on social media using the hashtag #MakingALawFirm. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our 4 leaders. You can probably see them already on your Zoom. So first up, we have Kim Cross, who's a partner at Vine Law. So Kim is a solicitor who initially qualified in Australia and moved to the UK in 2009. Along with co-founders Melinda Smith and Kat Collins, Kim started Vine Law in 2020 with the mission to build a firm that focuses on providing exceptional client service and is a great place to work as well. Natalie Foster, we have Natalie joining us from Foster Clay. So Natalie co-founded Foster Clay also in 2020 with the vision to have a friendly, forward-thinking law firm that provides excellent professional services to individuals and businesses, both locally and nationally. Natalie saw a gap in the market for a firm offering digital legal services. Next up, we have Elena Manoukian, partner at the Injury Solicitor. So in 2020, after seeing that legal services could be delivered from almost anywhere, Elena decided to launch her own firm, specializing in personal injury law and being a small firm. So Elena is able to offer client and personalized service, which is simply something you don't get from large law firms in the UK. And then finally, last but very much not least, we've got Aleister. So Aleister Wells is founder and director at Tend Legal. Aleister is an experienced commercial solicitor. He co-founded Tend Legal with his wife Shona in 2020 with the aim of finding a better way to deliver amazing legal services to startups and to SMEs. Aleister is known for his approachable manner, his zen-like calm, which we're going to experience throughout the year, and his clear commercial legal advice. Shortly, I'll give a chance to each of our leaders to introduce themselves in their own words and their firms and their goals for the year. But before I do that, I do want to share a couple of things that I wanted to mention, just a couple of housekeeping items. So today's session will be 60 minutes in length. We'll be doing lots of Q&A, so please join in the chat. You can use the chat function to interact with fellow attendees, to interact with our panelists as well. Just select the panelists and attendees in the drop down. So there's 2 drop down, or there's 1 drop down, but there's 2 selections if you want to interact with other attendees that are on the line as well. And then use the Q&A as well. That's another option for you to ask questions directly of the panelists, and we will see those and we'll bubble those up. The session is being recorded, I should say, and we will also be sending out the recording later this week, and it will be available on demand for you to watch at any time as well. I also want to give a little bit of context as to why Clio are bringing you this series. So Clio is the worldwide leader in cloud-based case management software, and our mission is to transform the practice of law for good. And that mission is more important now than ever before. Over the past 13 years, we have worked with thousands of firms all around the world to transform how they manage their firm and in turn their client experience. And many of those firms are small firms and those that are new. or that are aiming to do things differently and lean into innovation and change. So because Clio is fully cloud-based, we provide you with the ability to run your firm from anywhere, whether that be at home, which I know most of you probably are today, on the go, in court. Once you log in, you have access to everything you need, from cases through matters, time recording, unlimited document storage. Really, Clio is a central hub for handling cases from intake right through to invoice. And we also do this with a very flexible pricing model, a month-to-month subscription model, or an annual one, to give firms, especially small new firms, the flexibility that they might need in those early days to potentially add, remove licenses as they grow their firm. We're also very proud to be working with the Law Society of England and Wales and an approved supplier of the Law Society of Scotland as well. Relationships we've built up over many years, and we work hard to maintain those relationships as well. So at this point, I'm going to launch a very quick poll, just to bear with me one moment, and let us know if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Clio. We're not going to be going into a lot of detail in today's call. Today's call is going to be all about our leaders. If you are interested in, setting up some time to learn more about Clio, see it in a one-to-one fashion, let us know and we'll follow up with you after this call, or after this session. And just leave that running for a few more moments to allow everyone to have a bit of a vote. So we're only at 50% voted, so I'm going to let that run for a moment. Okay, and we're going to end our poll. Great, so our team will get in touch with those who have already participated, and ending our poll. Now, finally, I'm going to come back to our leaders and reduce my time talking and let our leaders take the virtual stage. Have you all got your tea, water, cups of coffee ready, everybody? Brilliant. Fantastic. Wonderful. So first up, I'm going to come to you, Natalie, if you're ready and willing. Could you tell us a little bit more about you and about Foster Clay?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. Very pleased to be here. Foster Clay, both myself and my business partner, Nathan Clay, met at a mutual networking event when people were allowed to be within 2 meters of people. And we shared some very similar ideas about what we expected from a law firm in the future and about client-led care. Not in just the advice sense as to what the client's needs are, but about access, access online, access out of hours, and what it would mean to build a relationship with a client that isn't rigidly between 9 and 5. And about what that would mean to solicitors as well. Even pre-lockdown, we were having conversations around agile working from home, accessibility, but also the support that solicitors would need in order to confidently conduct their work, knowing that they have the support of a firm. So we were toying with these ideas for a while, and when we decided to set up Foster Clay, it was essentially forced due to lockdown. And it was exactly the nudge really that was needed. It was all of last summer we were planning in terms of budget, setup, and what our requirements were. We had the opportunity of hosting the firm within a building that was already established in terms of its legal reputation. So we were very pleased to go forward with that. But we wanted really that to be a hub and then to look at branching out. So we very quickly contacted a number of reputable consultant solicitors that both Nathan had met in his career and also a number of solicitors that I had known both locally and regionally and even nationally, around how they would prefer to work. We focused very much on their feedback as opposed to what we thought people would want. And and we created Foster Clay Law. It's an ABS, an alternative business structure, which some of you may know is a fairly new setup in terms of entity. And it allows us really to plan and not really rule out collaboration with other business partners in the future. So, you know, it's very much going to be led by how things turn out, and our plan can evolve, whether or not that's looking at finance partners, investment advisors, whether it's estate agents. Really, we're going to be very open-minded about what the future holds for Foster Clay. But as it stands now, we've hit our 6-month point. We're very fortunate that we have been inundated with work, and the lawyers that have come on board have a loyal client following, and the consultants seem to really enjoy the model. They're independent, they're not micromanaged, but they are supported, and they do have the full range and benefit of all our policies and procedures, which obviously makes them feel at ease, and we take care of the compliance, and they crack on doing the job that they love. So that's where we are at the present moment.
Fantastic. And at the present moment, are you in your offices right now? Are you at home? Are you?
Yes. We have been, obviously, like many people. I have an office at home, but we do have, you know, things. Not everybody has adopted the digital approach. There are still things such as, you know, faxing of COTs, and there's still, life still goes on, and we have to ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. So we do have a skeletal team that do work socially distanced in the office where necessary. And today, you know, I do drop in to ensure that everyone's okay. So today I'm in my office, and my business partner's upstairs in his office, and yeah, it's a full house today, within reason.
Fantastic. Yeah, beautiful office. Kim, I'm going to come to you next. You're at home right now? You are. Tell us a little bit more about Kim, and also about Vine Law as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. It's a really great opportunity, and I'm pleased to be involved. I am obviously from Australia. I moved to the UK in 2009 and started a training contract with quite a large regional firm here in East Anglia. I am a mother of 4, and I have 2 stepsons as well, and a little puppy that drives me mad. I worked for my previous firm for about 12 years, or just shy of 12 years. And I think that the reason why we set up Vine was because just some long-standing frustrations with how the traditional model worked, and how legal services were delivered. And we just thought that there could be a lot of improvements made, and that we could do things better, really. Perhaps that might be a bit of a wild dream, but we're giving it a go anyway. So my co-founders of Vine Law were with me at that firm as well. So we joined together and set up Vine Law in November 2020. So we're 3 months in now. We have rather an unusual setup. We are under the umbrella of a mentor firm, I guess you would call them. We are effectively a branch of another firm, but we run independently. So we had to set up Vine Law like any other firm, but we come within the SRA regulation, and we have arrangements together like that. I guess the aim of Vine Law is to be very client focused, and to, you know, much as Natalie was saying, to deliver a service in the way that they wanted as well, and also to not sort of be reactive, but to be really proactive, and to see it as part of our job to keep up to date, not just with the law, but how legal services are delivered, how efficient we can be. So we don't just sit there and charge hourly rates and take however long it takes, but use technology and to modernize and to deliver services in a way that super efficient, and the best that they can be all the time. So that, I mean, I think that's really what we are about.
Who are your typical clients?
A lot of small, a lot of SMEs, and private individuals as well. So we do private client work, and also we do employment disputes, commercial work, anything that a small business would need.
Fantastic. And I'm really interested in the setup, the fact that you're an arm of another. We might come back to that either later in this call or at a later date as well, as we deep dive into different ways of setting up. Natalie kind of set up as a ABS model. You've set up this way, so it's just interesting to see how different folks are approaching getting set up, and why they chose to do that in 2020. So Elena, I'm going to come to you next. I believe you started, was it December?
Yes, so good morning, everyone. Elena from the Injury Solicitor. That's right, so I launched my firm on the 1st of December, after spending, I would say, probably the best part of 2020 planning my launch. It all sort of, the idea sort of started during the first lockdown. At that point, I'd actually got a new job. So I was in a new role, and I sort of just realized that it wasn't for me. But what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to just go and get another job or get another role in another firm. So I started sort of thinking, well, what else could I do? And I had an interest in business. And I mean, I wasn't ready to give up on law. It wasn't a case of leaving sort of the legal industry or my career or my profession. So I thought, well, I'm going to merge the two, and set up a law firm, as you do, during a pandemic. It was born out of really frustration, and I think that's where a lot of businesses sort of begin, where people feel frustrated, whether it's in their jobs, in terms of the hours they're working, the way they're working, the clients they've got. For me, I'm a personal injury solicitor. That's what I've done for, it will be 10 years this year now. It's the only area of law I've ever worked in, both defendant and claimant side. But I love the claimant side. I love my clients. I love getting successful outcomes for their claims. And I've always been, run off my feet with claims, with how busy I was. So I thought, well, let's take that and let's start my own firm. Running the cases how I feel like they should be run, not how somebody else is sort of dictating how a case should be run, and just do the best job for my clients. So I sort of started planning during the first lockdown, in terms of getting my business plan, my cash flow, my insurance. I'm doing this all by myself as well. So the name of my company, the Injury Solicitor, is me. It just described me, what I'm doing. And yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. It's amazing when clients come to you direct, whether I've handled cases for them before, or whether they refer, and my current clients refer my services to people they know who have been in an accident, and it's just amazing. So far it's really enjoyable. It's got its ups and downs and its challenges, but the injury solicitor is there to look after his clients, and our number one aim is to get our clients as much compensation as we possibly can.
Fantastic. A great summary of everything, and even just touching on how you went about planning before setting up. I know we're getting lots of questions in already on that startup element of setting up your firm. I know for the program, we're planning to kind of not only look at the start, like getting that initial first step. I say initial first step, there's probably about 100 steps to get to that step, but the startup, but we're also going to look at after that. So you've set up what's next. Now I'm going to actually jump over to Aleister. Unfortunately, I named you last in the introduction, and now I'm going to last again. I don't mean to. I'll come to you first next time.
I'm not taking it personally.
Could you give us a little bit of an overview to Attend Legal and to your firm and to you as well?
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone. Really pleased to be here. I think the story of Attend Legal, I suppose it echoes a lot of what the others have said already. so we set up, we started trading at the beginning of December last year. I think we only had the idea for the firm in March. It was in the first lockdown. It wasn't something that I would even have guessed that I'd be doing that year at the, even a year ago from now. And I think lockdown, like for a lot of people, I think it gave you that opportunity to think about how you're working and living and, what's happening with your life. And that was, I think, the case for me. I'd been at Woodford's in Fulham for about 13 and a half years and been really happy there. It's a great firm. But I think with lockdown, it made me realize, various things, like I didn't particularly want to be commuting for a couple of hours every day anymore. And I think we started to see a lot of opportunities, I suppose, about how things could be done differently in terms of the legal profession generally, getting in I suppose in ways that others have said as well, in terms of efficiency and level of service, that real kind of client focused service, but also in terms of how we communicate with our clients and how we, how the firm itself looks and communicates. So our idea was, and this came about, I suppose, I think it was one Friday night in lockdown, where Shona, my wife, and I, Shona's a solicitor as well, but she hasn't been practicing for a number of years while our children were small. But I think one Friday night I'd had this idea in the day, and we kind of have pizza and wine, which is our Friday night thing. And I said, look, I've had this idea. What if we just started our own firm? What if we, and what if it didn't really look like a law firm, and it was somewhere that the kind of firm that we would actually want to use and that we'd want to work in as well. And the more we started to talk this through and think about it, the more excited we got, because it just seemed that there's this massive gap between how a lot of our clients operate and communicate and look and how law firms do. And we just thought, well, actually, there's this massive opportunity there for doing something different and something that would work better, not just for us, but for our clients as well, and for people working for us. So it was this really kind of, we really began to look at that relationship between, the law firm, clients, and staff, and think, well, actually, there's so much room for improvement all around. We could do things really differently. And so then throughout the rest of 2020, we started kind of exploring it more seriously, and then I think by about May made the decision that that's what we're going to do, and started the process of getting the SRA approval, PI cover, all of those things, which I'm sure we'll come on to, and started trading in December. So we're almost 3 months in, and it's gone well. We've been fortunate in that I was able to bring a number of clients across from my last firm, so we weren't starting from scratch, which was really good. And yeah, it's been good. The response so far has been really encouraging, and we're still kind of exploring ways to improve what we're doing, and I think that will probably be the case for as long as we're going. There's always things you can tweak and do better, and but already I think we've made a good start, and excited about where it goes from here.
Fantastic. Thank you, Aleister. And you've already, when you say you've made a good start, you've already grown by, I think it was 50%.
Yes, we've got Hannah is joined us last week, our paralegal, so which is brilliant. It's really great to have someone else on board as well to help.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you're aware our chat is lighting up with lots of questions. So what I might do is just jump into some of them, if that's okay with everybody. So there's a question here around PI insurance. A lot of questions, lots of comments. A question here from Satinder. Would love to start their own firm, but looking at PI insurance worries her, or him, I'm not sure. So what how much roughly are we looking at for insurance? I know it probably varies across the board, but is that something that you'd be willing to share and to provide some tips on? Elena, I might come to you first. I think you've...
Yeah, I was going to suggest, I'm happy to answer that. As far as I'm aware, your professional indemnity insurance is very much to your predicted turnover for your first year. Obviously, the higher your turnover to be, the more expensive it's going to be, because it indicates that you're going to be doing a lot of work, have a lot of clients. It also depends on the area of law you're going to be setting up your firm in. So you've got your higher risk areas, and then you've got your lower risk areas. It just so happens that personal injury is relatively low risk, and I think it depends on the sort of value. So if I went to my insurance company and said that I was going to be dealing with serious injury claims, you know, brain damage, permanent injuries, then my insurance premium was going to be quite high. But I sort of made my predictions quite realistic and maybe quite low as well, because there's that uncertainty when you're first starting out. You know, I have to build all my cases from the beginning. So in my first year, I kept sort of my turnover predictions quite realistic, and my premium, well, actually there's a bit of a story behind me getting my professional indemnity insurance, and the first quote I had was over £8,000, and you know, it's just me, and the plan was always to pay for my insurance up front, and I thought, oh god, you know, that's a lot of money, £8,000, over £8,000. And I thought, I can't do it, you know, I can't do it in that year. I'd need more time to save. So I kept looking. I thought, you know, I can't really accept that. It was, you know, a really big chunk of money. So I sort of kept looking, and I know there's advice to suggest that don't go to too many brokers, don't approach too many, because the same insurers will be looking at your application and may refuse to even offer a policy. But I did keep looking, because I wanted a premium that I could actually afford and that I felt comfortable with. And also when it came to renewal, you know, if it goes up, or what's it going to be on renewal? So that really worried me. And then I actually found a broker through the Law Society website, and I just gave him a call and said, look, this is the quote I'm getting, nobody can improve it, can you do anything for me? And he came back, and you know, he got it down to under £4,000. And then just as I was about to launch, he actually said, I got you a better quote, and it was just over £3,000, £3,080, which actually was the difference between me launching and me almost not launching, or certainly not launching in 2020. I would have had to have waited until I would have saved up more, because with injury, the way we are paid is that we have to be successful. So I have to settle my claim before I get paid. All my work is no win, no fee. I don't charge my clients anything. I take a percentage from their compensation, but before I can do that, I need to actually win a case. So it could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, it could be even longer before I'm successful on a case and I actually can make any money as a business. So to me, I knew I was going to be paying that premium up front. And that's what sort of made me look and keep looking until I found a premium I was happy with. If you can start making money straight away in your business and billing your clients, invoicing them, getting those bills paid, then you can also pay for your insurance on a monthly basis. I think around 10 months. Maybe even a bit longer. You could probably even, you know, do it over 12 months, which for me would have worked out around £400 a month. So there is always that option where if you know your business can start generating income, to actually pay your insurance on a monthly basis, you don't have to have that money up front. And I think there are also finance options, so you can actually get other finance options to pay for your insurance premium.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elena. You covered so many things there, and so many helpful tips as well for attendees. Aleister, I think you were going to come in maybe with some thoughts there.
I was going to say, yeah, I'd echo what Elena says about with your business plan. So when you apply for PI, you have to supply them with a business plan and cash flow or cash forecast for your first year. And I think when we started, I was probably a bit optimistic on our first year cash flows, and which I think is probably natural. As if you're going to be doing this, you're going to be optimistic. And I think having as time went on, we realized actually that was a bit over optimistic, and we amended that and actually got a much better quote. I would say if you're thinking of starting up a firm, allow a lot of time for apply for PI early, because you have to have that before you can apply for the SRA approval. You have to have a PI quote at least. So it's kind of the first, well, it's probably not even the first piece in the jigsaw, because you need your business plan before that, but it's worth doing it in good time, because it can take a while.
Thank you, Aleister. What I might do actually is I'm going to launch a poll later on in the session, and we might actually go into a session at a later date that's purely on PII, because there does seem to be a lot of questions there. What I do want to do is go back to touch kind of on it, but when it comes to starting your firm, is there that initial step of getting set up? Is there an area that you would recommend, or that you would flag with those thinking of doing it, to spend a little bit more time, or to not to underestimate a certain area of step, I would say? And if so, what would that be? I know you might say PII is one of them, but if there's another area that would be good.
Geraldine, I'm happy to jump on really quickly, because this is something that I'm realizing now that I wish I'd spent more time on, and that's my website. Because it's not the problem with my website is it's probably not as good as I need it to be for the industry that I'm in such a highly competitive area of law. And I'm now finding out what I wish I knew before from experts who I'm approaching and saying, right, how do I market my firm? What am I doing? Do I use Google Ads? Do I spend money elsewhere? What do I do to actually get my business out there? What's important to remember is that just because you start a business or you launch a firm, people aren't going to be queuing up outside your office, begging you to do their cases or anything like that. You've got to go out there, you've got to find your clients. Your website is your shop front as a law firm. So especially for law firms now that are starting, that might not have your traditional office. Like, I don't have a traditional office, I'm based from home, so my website is my shop front. But what happened during the setup is that the SRA gave me the green light, and we had about 4 weeks to put together all my branding and all my website, because what happens is you don't want to spend too much money until the SRA give you your authorization, because until they actually say yes, what's the point in you spending hundreds if not thousands of pounds on something that might never materialize? So then what happened is we had this huge rush, and I was still working full time, so I had to spend my evenings and my weekends working on my branding and my website. And it was fine. I'm semi happy with it, but it needs a lot of work to actually then convert into leads and attract clients, because there are so many other personal injury solicitor websites that are a lot better. So now I'm always having to go back and sort of almost like start again or improve a lot on my website. So that's something that I would say your website is so important, and not to rush it like I did. And now I'm going back and improving, which is okay. It has to be done. Everybody sort of, that's how I've learned that my website isn't good enough. It's not up to scratch. I need to go back, and I've spoken to a lot of experts who have given me a lot of tips, a lot of sort of recommendations that I can work with. But for me, that's, definitely put that effort in with your website when you're designing it and the content.
Great.
That might not be a bad thing though, Eleanor. I was just going to say that that we got some web designers in to do our website, and I think they did a fantastic job. But to get higher up in the Google rankings for searches, my understanding is that the website needs to be constantly changing, to constantly moving, to constantly improving. So actually, the fact that it's not perfect and that you're constantly adjusting it might actually be helping your search results anyway. So I won't worry too much.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I think it's good.
Carry on. I was going to say one of the things that took us a long time that we weren't expecting is bank accounts. So setting up an office account and client account has taken a long time, and to get some funding, and ours was set up with some funding from the bank, so we had to wait for that money to come through, and it took a lot longer than we thought, and touch and go there for a while about whether we were going to carry on, but we're there. So yeah, that sort of thing takes time too.
Thank you, Kim. Natalie, you were going to come in there, I think, about marketing. I know you've spent a lot of time on your marketing. You've a very strong brand for Foster Place, so maybe you could talk a little bit more about about why and how you prioritize that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that we've had a conversation prior to today with the guys around how I decipher and prioritize marketing in accordance with doing then the fee earning and then the management side of things as well. Something that you've got to get your head around whenever you're running a business is that you have to wear many different hats. So I tend to deal with my marketing on an evening. You know, it's a longer day than a 9 to 5, but that's a given, and hopefully one day the return's worth it. But we have some very core specific brand guidelines. You know, we have a specific font, we have a colour, we have a palette, we have certain very strong images that we use because our target market, which is probably what Aleister was touching on in terms of, you know, is it a law firm I would like to use? We look at things that, you know, our staff would go, that's attractive to me. I'd like, you know, I want to read that. I want to, it's relevant. Also, we try and correlate our news or anything that we share with what's relevant there and then. At the minute, we're quite conscious that everyone's absolutely sick to death of hearing about the coronavirus, which, although it's an extremely important topic, we're trying to just give a bit of a glimmer of light as to something different. So we'll touch on various different subjects that aren't related to that, because I don't know about you, but I tend to skip through certain things if it's got the C word in it. What is really important is most definitely get your brand guidelines, get your colour palette in order, decide what the mood and the tone of your brand is going to be. Now, for somebody like Elena and Aleister, and no doubt Kim, if it's a slightly smaller enterprise, you are your brand, and it's very difficult to separate the injury solicitor, for example, as to Eleanor, but it is separate. And you've got to create your business brand, which is your firm, because you don't know where it's going to go. And in 10 years, you could have sites all over, you could have a team. So that needs to stand alone on its own, but it's supported by the personal brand. So what I'm doing this morning is obviously talking as Natalie, but I'm associated with the firm and will advocate my firm and the services that we have. The firm obviously stands with various other lawyers that we're working with. And so it's really important to get that degree of separation, but you're always going to be joined. And that sounds like a contradiction in terms. I also would emphasize to anybody that you don't have to spend a great deal of money. You can. There are marketing agencies all over the place that are, we'll do this pay-per-click and we can get you tied in for £600 a month, They promise to deliver. Ultimately, the conversion of any lead that you get is your business's responsibility. Unless you have a dedicated, you know, telephony team that are going to chase that, again, that's going to cost money and convert that lead into a client. There's nobody can sell your business better than you, because you know the capability, you know how you work, and you can strike that rapport with the client straight away. So having, you know, it's always myself usually and my business partner Nathan that are the kind of go-to, the triage, if you like, of the clients. So any inquiries that are inbound usually are generated from either the goodwill of the people that are here, or the promotions that we do, various promotions on social media. We'll get some interest, we'll get a DM, private message, and then they'll come in as an inbound call. The majority of that, apart from the odd Facebook advert, which you do have to pay for reach, is free. There's no need to spend an obscene amount of money. And if anybody is willing to dedicate the time to invest in a brand and create it and nurture it, and then add various things on as it evolves, for example, a blog, which greatly improves your SEO because it'll have keywords in there. Again, we're talking about rankings in Google. It's very much an evolution. You're not going to flick a switch on day one and be ranked number one for conveyancing specialist or divorce lawyer. But again, like the website, just keep returning to it, evolving it, adding to it. And that obviously needs to go with what's going on in the economy and in the news at the time, because it sparks different interests from different people.
Fantastic. Thank you, Natalie. Aleister, go ahead.
So yeah, I was going to say that the point you made, Natalie, I think that's really good about having a separate brand for the firm and for you personally. And one thing, I suppose particularly at the beginning is that your personal brand is likely to drive quite a lot of business and may even have more reach than your firm brand. And certainly that's one thing. I mean, we haven't really got into any sort of formal marketing other than LinkedIn, and the thing that's been most effective is just posting regularly and getting to know people and networking, and that's, I know we do need to focus, we do need to do some work on the firm marketing as well, but you know, it's for something that's free, and in terms of just building that network, it's really helpful at the start. And I think you kind of also, there's a, I don't know if you experience this as well, but it feels like there's all these things you should do with marketing. You must have all these social media accounts, you must have a blog, you must have, you know, and particularly if it's just you, or there's just 2 or 3 of you, you can't do all of that all at the same time. So I think there's a lot about focusing on what works the most for the least cost and hammering that, and then perhaps thinking about from there building it out and thinking but I do think you don't have to do it all at once.
No,
I think you go mad if you try to.
We've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the tone of each platform is different.
And that's great, but yeah, you know, and I guess you've got a few more people to help with that perhaps.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the moment, it is predominantly myself and my business partner that manage that. But just going back to what Elena had said, we had a fantastic website builder. We're due to do some work on that, but it was kind of the foundations. So, but yeah, it is key. It is really important. And there's programs such as like Hootsuite, for example, where you can manage all your platforms by posting once. And schedule different things. So if you know I've got a couple of hours on a Sunday, I'm going to schedule the week's posts. Fabulous. Again, that does cost, but it's certainly less than a digital marketing agency doing it for you, and not having the due care and attention, no disrespect to the agent, about your services because you're the professional.
Thank you, Natalie. I'm going to move us on a little bit. We are going to, marketing and branding is going to be a topic that we're going to focus in on later in the year. We'll do a full session on it. But you did mention something there around Hootsuite, and we've also got a question in here from George, who would like to know a little bit more about setting up and the role of technology in firms today. Would be keen to know, you know, how important technology has been right now for your firms. And did you know, was it there from the get-go? Is it something that was on the cards from the get-go? And if so, why? Who would like to take that one?
Oh, well. So we knew from the start that we wanted to have a really good practice management system. And we looked at a variety and obviously have come to Clio, which we absolutely love, by the way. It's integral, I think, that because it's cloud-based, we can operate from anywhere. Our clients can access documents as well as us, so we can communicate with them in ways that we couldn't do before. And it creates a lot of efficiencies for us. So we are able to provide a service quicker and better to the clients because we can use the systems to just to work more efficiently, to work faster. And it also helps with cash flow, actually, because in terms of being able to record your time in there and just to bill quickly as well, just helps with that cash flow, which is crucial early on. So yeah, it was always on the cards for us, and we think that it just makes a major difference to the firm and how we work.
It's one of those areas where there's a lot of bewildering choices about technology generally. I mean, there's the obviously your practice management software, but then all the other things you might use with it, and it can be a bit overwhelming. But yeah, I think like Kim said, for us, I mean, Clio is a good sort of all-round package. You've got it's basically a law firm in a box. You can, you know, it does most of the things you'll need it to do, and it also integrates with other things you can use as well. So we're starting to, I've been starting to look at, well, how can we automate sort of client onboarding and stuff, and it has, so using Google Forms and Zapier to automatically set up client contacts and matter files, and that in itself could save so much time. So there's a lot of possibilities there.
I think because the other point is that because we're small firms and we're starting out, we don't really have support staff either. So those sorts of efficiencies are crucial.
Yeah.
I would mention though as well, technology, like for me, was the reasons why I decided to start my firm, because I just saw, we were all forced to just, work from home pretty much overnight. It made me realize that actually, you don't need big space, you don't need, a fancy office in a city centre somewhere to get the clients. Clients just want you to do a good job and to be able to contact you when they need to. And what do you need for that? You need a good internet connection, you need a phone, and you need something to work on. Like as solicitors, we do need to obviously bear in mind we have to keep our client data as safe as possible. So you have to have a case management system. I think you'd really struggle to run a law firm without one. Clio is great because it's safe, it's cloud-based. You can have an app, you can log on from anywhere. It's relatively affordable as well compared to a lot of other options. I mean, as a personal injury solicitor, I'd only ever use the bigger sort of case management systems such as Visual Files and Proclaim, but the cost of those would have made it impossible for me to be able to afford it, whereas Clio actually made it a possibility. And having used Clio now for almost 3 months, I love it, and I'm happy not to see Proclaim after 7 years of using it. Technology is important, but the other thing that's worth bearing in mind is that not to spread yourself too thin. Like, for example, I found this app and I was like, wow, it's great. Like, you ask a client to download this app and they see where their case is up to, and it stops them contacting you for updates and things like that. But I didn't end up using it because with it being just me, there's only so many things you can really do, and only so many sort of modes of technology you can master in order to use them to their ability. So I had to get rid of that because I thought, actually, I don't mind clients contacting me for updates, and I like that, and I don't want to have that extra step that actually distances me from my clients. I don't mind them dropping me a text or WhatsApping me or sending me a message on Messenger or just giving me a call. It's fine. I like that interaction with my clients. So actually, I realized that is a great piece of tech that other firms could probably use really, really well and to their advantage. For me, it wasn't working, and I could not update that many pieces of technology because you do need a phone system. I have a phone system, and I have call recording as well, for all my clients that I actually use when I need to draft things like witness statements, or I need to listen back to a conversation, or I can actually just take instructions by phone without having to sign a piece of paper, every time they need to give me instructions. So there's a lot of technology out there, and I spent weeks, if not months, researching all of this tech that's out there. I narrowed it down to the best options that were also really, really affordable. It took me a really long time, but so far, other than that one app, which I decided against continuing to have a subscription with, everything else has worked out brilliantly. And I think what's great about Clio case management systems like that is that you don't have to be tied into long contracts. You can just basis, and that makes it affordable, and you can keep on top of your cash flow, and you can predict what it's going to cost every single month. So tech is there. Sometimes it takes a little while to find exactly what you're looking for, but there's so much out there, and it makes running a law firm possible. Your clients appreciate it. It just makes the overall process a lot more streamlined.
Thank you, Elena. I'm conscious that we've got 10 minutes left. I know when we had our practice call, we kind of had this moment, oh, will we have enough to talk about? We don't have enough time to talk about everything. It's so many questions we plan to discuss as well. I do want to launch a couple of polls though. It's going to help us as we as we run our sessions going into the rest of the year. So launching a quick poll right now just to find out what do you want us to cover next and discuss, and we'll deep dive into some of those subjects. So I'm just going to launch that and let that run for the moment. And whilst that's running, we did have a question come in here. Is there one piece of advice that you would tell people not to do when starting up? And because we're so tight on time, if we could get panelists to just, one sentence, and we can expand on it at a later date, but just one sentence on what you would tell firms not to worry about. We'll go, Natalie, we'll go to you first, if that's okay.
I think a thing not to do, don't overcommit. Don't commit to lengthy contracts if at all avoidable. This is one of the huge USPs for joining Clio, is that they completely understand that setting up a firm is a month-to-month, situation, and you don't know what the year one is going to be like. Certainly not in the middle of a pandemic. Don't commit to them. You will get packages dangled in front of you that appear cheaper on the face of it, but the reality is that you need to ensure that you have as much choice and control as possible in where and what you spend your money on.
Thank you, Natalie. Aleister, come to you next.
I suppose I'd echo what Natalie says. I mean, don't, really watch what you're spending money on. Watch and make sure you're only spending money on things that are actually going to deliver value, and don't feel you have to have everything at the start. I mean, it's an evolving process. You're always going to sort of change what you need, what you have, so focus on the essentials.
Thank you. Elena and Kim, have you anything further to add to those sentiments? Or
I would say make a plan, but don't freak out if it doesn't go according to plan, because things will change and things will happen that you don't expect. And so the key is to try and manage that process, and take it a day at a time, take it a step at a time, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, and I would just finally add, I'm a big advocate of saving. I hadn't been until I decided to start my own business. I used to be payday and it would be in and out of my account in a flash. I love to spend money on that, just the most useless stuff. So buying my first house as well, around a year and a half ago, I ended up spending loads on just things for the new house, decorating, everything like that. And then I decided to start this business and I had to save pretty much from scratch. I didn't have any savings. So the one thing that starting this business has taught me is that you need to save, you need to put yourself in the best sort of financial position for launching a business, for quitting your job. You might not have a regular income. I certainly don't at this stage, and that would be extremely difficult. And I think this is where lockdown has helped, because there hasn't, couldn't go on holiday, can't go out, can't go to bars, can't go for expensive cocktails, but it's almost, that's helped me. That's helped me in saving. And I will always say, and I read this when I was starting up, and I say this now to people, it's much easier to spend £1 than it is to make £1. And that could not be more true. When you realize how difficult it is when you've launched your own business to actually start making money, and you appreciate and you really focus where you're going to be spending your money in terms of your business and progressing it. It's also no good to just hold on to loads of money. That can be really, really counterproductive. It's really difficult to let go, but actually you need to focus your spending and focus on getting value for your money, and investing in your business. That's how you've sort of got to look at it. Instead of spending it on things like meals out or holidays, you're investing back into your business.
Natalie, were you gonna? I wasn't sure.
Well, I'm just mindful of time, so I won't take too long, but I just wanted to mention that there quite often is a stepping stone for a lot of people going from employment to running a firm of their own, and that often is the consultancy model, which it seems to be kind of the best of both worlds for many people. if there is anybody that's on the webinar today that's really finding employment not working for them, and they want that freedom and independence, but they're not quite ready to insert the cash or the risk or anything else into launching, you know, we would be interested in speaking to those sorts of people, because we appreciate that many experienced solicitors want the autonomy and the independence to run their own micro business, if you like, without worrying about the compliance. And so our model lends itself to supporting people in that position. It may not be that they want to go all the way to a new firm right now, but it may be something that we can facilitate in the future.
Thank you, Natalie. A really great point as well. And actually, in our poll, we ran a poll there, and marketing came up as one of the top things that people want to hear about next, but also not far behind it was around recruiting and hiring, and that consultancy model will kind of fall in there as well. So we'll definitely touch on that more later in the year as well. So I'm conscious we have 3 minutes left. We have still lots of questions that were in the chat. I know that all of our panelists are quite active on social media as well. So if we don't get to your question here, we will be covering some of those topics later in the year, but also feel free to reach out to our panelists as well, and connect with them on social media, and I'm going to speak on behalf of you that you'd be happy to help, and that's kind of the idea behind this series, is to help others out there. So if there are questions there that we're not getting to, don't worry, we will try and answer them at some point. So 2 minutes left. One question that we did want to cover, if we can do a very quick zoom around the room, is around your goals for the next year. I know there's probably many, but is there one goal that you have for the next 12 months that you look back and say, I did well, I achieved this? We'll go to Elena, we'll go to you first.
Probably just to reach my 1 year goal and get renewal on my professional indemnity insurance. But putting that aside, a realistic goal is to increase my client base. I want to have around 100 clients at any given time. I'm slowly building up that way, but towards that. So that's my goal, to reach my target client numbers.
Sounds good, and sounds like something you put on a vision board if you haven't already got it up there. Okay, great. We'll go to Aleister, you next, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I think one thing we're working on is our sort of offering of services, and thinking about how can we kind of refine that a bit, looking at sort of productized services, and we're also thinking about how we charge. So one thing is a subscription model we're looking at. So I'm really keen to get that out there in the next year, and hopefully that should happen in the next few weeks.
Interesting. Okay, we'll be watching that space. Natalie, we'll come to you next.
I think just on the back of what I previously said, we're looking to collaborate with, you know, other quality lawyers to allow them to be happier in their job, and to fall back in love with the job that they wanted to do, without being either A, micromanaged, or B, restricted by archaic process, and allow them to do the job in a cooler way, really. That's kind of the goal, is just to bring it into 2021.
Sounds good. Sounds great. Kim, what are your thoughts?
So I would say it would be amazing to get to the end of the year and have 100% client satisfaction, and also to, you know, for our and have some employees on board who are also happy to be working for us, and who want to make that journey with us. That would be a good end to the year, I think, or a good aim for the year.
Sounds good. A lot of great goals there. I know there's probably many more. We are just 1 minute over, so I'm going to wrap up now. Just wanted to thank all of you, Aleister, Elena, Natalie, Kim, for participating and for agreeing to participate throughout the year and sharing your growth. We're getting lots of floods of thank yous from our attendees as well. Please do, for our attendees, please do feel free to reach out if there's something that you really want to hear about, or if you have an interest in, and let me know. We will be running these sessions on the last Wednesday of every month, with other content as well coming out, talking about our leaders' experience as they grow their firm. Thank you to everybody. Really appreciate it. We'll be in touch with the recording. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks.